So let's come back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's come back to the Ten Commandments in the courthouse. You're looking at that as a statement of endorsement. And I'm looking at that as a statement of acknowledgement. And I think that's where the difference exists, in that I don't see it as an endorsement.
Well, the thing is, our laws are not based on that. Only, you could say, at most 3 of the 10. Because we don't put people in jail for not believing in God. We don't put people in jail for having graven images. We don't put people in jail for not going to church.
Well, why does it have to be put people in jail?
Or kill
I'm not
them.
following the logic here.
Or if you go by the aspect of what was in with someone that picks up sticks on the Sabbath, okay, kill them. You don't believe in God, kill them. They have graven images, kill them. They don't honor their parents, kill them. Which really raises the problem with thou shalt not kill.
Where does it say that?
Well, the aspect of God killing the person for picking up sticks on the Sabbath.
That's one instance.
Right.
And I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that separately. But where does it say, for example, if you don't honor your parents, the person gets killed? I don't recall that.
No, that is an aspect of, well, it can go, in a sense, the next chapter, Exodus 21, where it goes into all the people you're supposed to kill, and where it says about thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Okay.
Which is rather seemingly a contradiction between thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, because it's like you're saying, do not kill and then kill.
Whoa, it doesn't say thou shalt not kill. It says thou shalt not murder.
Okay, well, in a sense, the aspect of if you're killing if you're killing someone for witchcraft,
regardless of what you're killing someone for, there's a difference between kill and murder.
True, murder is premeditated.
Well, murder is premeditated, number one, and murder is number two. Has no valid reason behind it. As to whether valid is subjective or what have you. For the moment, let's hold off on it. But to kill, I mean, we have clearly indicated in this discussion that God says to kill certain people. Yes?
Right.
So how could God say, don't kill, and then go out and kill?
I don't know. It makes him a hypocrite.
Which I think was a question that we had from way back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So God doesn't say don't kill, because there are instances where God says kill. But there's killing for a valid reason. For example, if somebody comes to kill you, do you sit back and say, no, God said don't kill, so therefore I have to let this person kill me?
Absolutely not. That's
absurd, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so God doesn't say don't kill. God says don't murder. And in the case of the person picking up sticks, this was a violation of the law that God gave. And so the person was killed, not murdered, but killed as a result of that violation. We can get into whether it was right or wrong and so forth and so on, but there was a reason, because there was a law which said don't do this, and the person violated that law. I'm not getting into right, wrong, good, bad, indifferent. All I'm saying is that the person was killed, not murdered, because of a violation.
Yeah.
In the same way that, and I realize that this is stretching it, in the same way that if you violate the speed limit, you're subject to a summons, a ticket.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So there's there's a major difference in what we're talking about here.
Right, but the aspect legally, there's nothing that happens to a person if they don't believe in God. There's nothing that happens if they don't go to church. Even the aspect of the not committing adultery. For one,
right.
I'm incapable of committing adultery because I'm not married.
Okay.
And that's another one with the figure of Jesus that has me he was an idiot. Because of saying, if you look at a woman to lust, you've committed adultery in your heart.
Well,
that's,
but you'd have to be. But wouldn't you have to be married in order to do that?
Bingo.
Because adultery automatically means. So it only applies to those who are married, I assume.
Right, that would be the thought. And I've had Christians try saying to me, because when I make videos on camera, I had one say about what I have on my wall, and I was, a calendar? Why do I have a calendar on my wall? Now, it is a calendar of women in swimsuits. Heaven forbid.
Okay.
But these people want to act as if a woman in a swimsuit is horrible. Or that when I use certain language that isn't, and I know I've used it in this video, in this interview.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That they want to try and act like that's some kind of sin. And I've tried saying to them, show me where it says thou shalt not swear. And if I say the aspect of not cursing, you need to remember the way curse was meant was to cast a spell on somebody and the aspect of,
I think from a Jewish perspective,
mm-hmm.
the use of colorful language, shall I use that terminology?
Yeah.
The reason that we don't use colorful language is because it demeans us, ourselves, as well as other people. And, we just find it disrespectful. That's all. You're not going to burn me in hell. Again, I have to point out hell doesn't exist, so it's difficult to burn there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's simply a matter of respect.
And that's one I try to, when I'm having just a regular conversation with somebody, I try not to, but there are times that some words do come out.
Yeah, I understand that.
And it's not a matter, at least in my head, it's not about respect or disrespect. I like Lewis Black put it, is these are the words we use so that we don't fucking kill one another. Or if you...
Okay.
Or if you smash your thumb with a hammer, what do? You go, oh, pussy feathers.
No, or I say, oh, darn. I don't have to. Does it make my finger feel any better if I use a 4-letter word? Or does it hurt just as much?
True.
Okay. So if from a perspective, one doesn't demean oneself by using a 4-letter word, and one shows respect to other people by not using a 4-letter word. And believe me, by not using a 4-letter word, it has an impact on people.
So I can use bitch? Because that's a 5-letter word. And ass? Because that's a 3-letter word.
Yeah, okay.
Woohoo, bitch and ass are okay.
Yeah.
What about compound words?
I think you know to which I refer.
Right, but I'm thinking compound words too. Hey, I can work with this.
Yeah, but my point only is that your thumb doesn't hurt any less.
True.
What have you proven by using a 4-letter word?
What you're expressing is aggravation.
Okay. Can you express aggravation without using a four-letter word, or must it be a four-letter word?
Well, it wasn't in the same regard, and I can use another example. One point when I was throwing a truck, and not actually throwing a literal truck, unloading the freight from a truck, I had a microwave fall and hit me on the head.
Okay.
Without even thinking, I reached up and grabbed, and I first yelled, "God damn it!" And I yelled it loud enough that the guys unloading the line heard me. And then I picked it up. I grabbed it and I threw whatever had hit me, because that's kind of my.
Did that make your head feel any better?
It made me feel better.
Okay, but
I
did it
punished.
make your head feel any better?
No, but I punished that which hit me on the head.
Really?
It might have
Do
been
you think it seriously intended to hit you on the head?
It might have been an inanimate object that doesn't feel pain or have a consciousness. I was still going to punish it for hitting me.
Okay. I understand the reaction. Hopefully you will acknowledge that's irrational.
Absolutely.
But okay. My only perspective again is that from our perspective, it demeans you and it demeans other people by utilizing that type of language.
Now, when I did
you can choose to use it. That's okay. I choose not to.
Now, one of the things, thinking back on it, when I did that, was I really asking God to damn that microwave?
No, because I think in common parlance, it's an idiomatic expression.
Right. I'm just thinking the way, especially the way Christians take this stuff, is it almost seems like they look at it as any reference to God is an acknowledgement of their shit, or that it is almost like a command that you're giving, which makes me wonder the aspect of sex. Do they think that every time God hears his name, he's kind of looking around going, hey, what are they doing?
Okay.
Or that he hears his name, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the aspect of God, it's a general term. I mean...
Well, it certainly has come into our vocabulary.
One of the things I've seen
in a different context today, in the same way that things have changed relative to certain words today. Going back 40 years ago, when you said you were gay, it certainly didn't mean that you were homosexual.
Right, it meant you were happy.
Right.
The
so
aspect, the Flintstones had a gay. Right, the Flintstones with their song, a song to the Flintstones, have a gay old time.
Yep.
And it's similar to over in Europe, and this is actually an amusing one. A friend of mine married a woman that was from Spain. And when she was over here, she went to a convenience store and asked for a carton of fags.
Okay.
Because a fag is a cigarette.
Right.
But the clerk looked at her and they were, what?
Right.
Because that's
and I can relate to that. In that I had an experience when I was in St. Petersburg, which is now, St. Petersburg now was at the time was Leningrad. And I was lecturing there, and we got into a discussion about the Ten Commandments. And I was dealing with the point of, thou shalt not murder, and I was being translated by somebody. And this woman in the audience was being very, very frustrated, and she was literally screaming at me, because I'm contradicting myself. I'm talking in circles, and so forth and so on, until I finally realized and asked the translator, is there a separate word in Russian for kill and murder? And the answer was no. And, it wasn't until you defined the word that you were using or the concept that, the little light bulb went on. So, the terminology certainly has changed.
Right. Now, the other one that Christians will throw at me is the not swearing is the other one. And I pointed out with Judaism, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to swear means to take an oath.
Yeah, but, again, you're using an English term that we have an understanding of to deal with a technical term in Hebrew. And you can't do that, because we can sit here and say, well, in English, swear means to take an oath, but what's the word in Hebrew?
That I have no clue.
Okay. Well, that's the issue. That's the that's the question. The term in Hebrew is a neder. It technically, literally, to take a vow, not to swear, but to take a vow. And along that line, there are some technical definitions relative to what that means, and unless those conditions are met, then a vow has not been taken.
Okay. And one thing that we can touch on quick, and maybe we can touch on it quick, the aspect of a vow, that makes me think of the story of Jephthah and his daughter, where...
Oh, yeah, where he says the first thing that comes out of...
Yeah.
Okay.
Was he really... I mean, that strikes me as...
Stupid?
An extremely stupid thing to say.
Okay. Actually, it struck the rabbis as an extremely stupid thing to say. But the rabbis do not just condemn him for the stupid thing to say. Because, again, there's more to it than just the simple telling of the story. The rabbis condemn him for making such a stupid statement. The rabbis also condemn the priest for not saying to him, hey, dummy, that's a stupid statement.
Yeah.
And I don't consider it a vow. So, there were all sorts of people involved in this, but the bottom line is that, we recognize that was a really, really, really stupid thing to do. Now, the commentaries, some of them say that he never carried through with it.
Okay, because in the story,
some
of
the commentaries say, in fact, he did. But the issue, again, is that it's very, very clear from a Jewish perspective that you don't do stupid things like that. And everybody recognizes that was a really stupid thing to do. But you and I both will recognize that people do stupid things. And here's a clear example of it.
Right. It really, that whole scenario struck me as absolutely immoral.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Immoral? Absolutely. Stupid? Yeah, no question about it. So what's the issue?
For him to actually, and I guess, is there clarity, at least in the Tanakh, as far as did he do it? Did he follow through?
No. The clarity comes in the Talmud. And,
because
and the Talmud to the exclusion of everyone, if I recall correctly, says this was really stupid.
Mm-hmm. Because it really comes down to it's what is there, at least in the King James, and I know how much you laugh at that, but that after she bewailed her virginity for 2 months, he burned her as a burnt offering.
Yeah.
But then there is a reference in Jeremiah 32:35 where the God got pissed at people burning children in fire to Baal and said, you're doing something that never entered my mind. And he called it a sin and an abomination. And I've actually heard some Christians say that that was because they were doing that to Baal. And I was, so burning someone in fire to
that
Baal
okay to do it to God?
is a bad idea, but someone doing that to
absurd.
God. I mean,
that's absurd.
That's where I look at it and it's like, are you really wanting to go there?
No. No.
But I also hit Christians with the aspect of fire is a chemical reaction of physical elements maintained by physical oxygen. So after a person is dead, even if they would be ghosts type of thing, fire would no more burn a ghost than spraying a ghost with a squirt gun would make it wet. So in that regard, the aspect of fire, it doesn't make any sense. What happens to someone that, like the atheist that doesn't believe in God and so forth, what does the Jewish God, let's just say for the sake of this discussion and these interviews, that the Jewish God is real, what does it do to someone like me? Not only I don't believe, but like all through my life and so forth, I'm looking for the truth.
Whether you believe or not is not going to take away a fact, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So whether you believe Obama is president of the United States, in spite of what you believe or may not believe, he's still president of the United States, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you're going to burn in hell. What's the problem? No, obviously, because you can take that to another dimension. What about the people who live in the wilds and jungles of Brazil, who have never had the opportunity to be exposed to the information of this God, and live their lives, doing what they do? Well, since they've not been exposed to that information, and they can neither accept or reject that which they don't know, are they in trouble? A Christian would say what?
Yeah, if they don't believe, the Christian would say if they don't believe, then they are.
No, there is no other way to God than through Jesus, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, Judaism doesn't say that. Judaism says that if you have the information available and you live your life accordingly, whether you believe in that God or you don't believe in that God, that's not the issue, but rather how you live your life. And the same is true for the person who's never had the opportunity to hear or to experience the information about that God. So what's the problem?
Well, in that regard, wouldn't it come down to why are the Christians even opening their mouth? Because if the people don't know, then they're fine. But because they're opening...
No, according to Christianity, that they're not fine. Because no one comes to the Father except through me, right?
Right, but if they don't say anything, then the person could say they never knew. So... How does that give them a pass? My understanding is it doesn't give them a pass. That's why you have Christian missionaries beating the bushes to bring the good news to these people who haven't heard it before. Or am I incorrect? It seems to be a bit of a confusion, at least as far as Christianity is concerned, because I've heard kind of both ways. That if
well, I'm sure that within Christianity there is a bit of confusion, because how many denominations are there of Christians? and are Anabaptists right or Baptists right? Will the real Christianity please stand up?
Yeah.
Okay. Nevertheless, whether they haven't heard it and therefore they're not liable, or they have heard it and they reject it, from a Jewish perspective, again, if you're living as a Jew, you have certain obligations in your relationship with God. If you are not Jewish, you have other obligations which are much simpler, and if you live a life according to those guidelines, and most of them are guidelines that, whether you're aware of them or not, are pretty standard or common. Things like establish a system of justice. Don't tear the limb off of a living animal. These things are fairly easy for somebody who doesn't know or who says, God doesn't exist, to follow, in which case God takes that into account.
Okay. Now, one of the things I do want to ask you, because it's something that I've been dealing with, they're not so much Christians as they are spiritual people.
Okay.
And they want to try and use evidence of being guided by spiritual, divine, higher consciousness, whatever, as help benefiting their life in some way, be it a house, be it a car, whatever monetary thing. And I have asked them if such exist, how is, in a sense, why is it that it is evidence for your life of they're helping you with this goodies, but yet they don't do a darn thing for starving children?
Well, because starving children are not spiritual enough.
It's almost like that's where they're going with it, but they what I'm dealing, and it frustrates me because it's I've not encountered anything that can make them dance and dance incessantly like that question. That they will try, it's almost like, and when I try to nail them down on it, it is as if they don't believe this exists.
Okay.
That they want to use it as an excuse for, this is evidence of it in my life, but don't try to ask me why it doesn't do anything for anyone else.
Well, I think you can impart that to many other faith systems as well. It reminds me of a discussion that I once had with a young lady who was having an absolutely miserable life. And she was pregnant and unmarried. She just lost her job. She had her car repossessed because she lost her job and couldn't pay for the car. She found out that the person that she had a relationship with, unbeknownst to her, was married and was not interested in leaving his wife. She was just having an absolutely, it wasn't a good day, right?
Yeah.
So she was riding the bus, and she was praying, God, why me? Why me? God, give me an answer, a way out of this. Give me a sign. Show me what to do. And she looked out the window, and as she looked out of the window, there was a U-Haul truck passing that said, move to Albuquerque. So she moved to Albuquerque.
Okay.
And in Albuquerque, she was still unmarried and pregnant. She had no job. She had no car. And the guy that she had a relationship with was still married to his wife and not interested in her. What changed?
Not a thing. Or only her location.
Oh, no, that's not true. She was now living in Albuquerque. That's what changed.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that she believed that this was a sign from whomever, that this was what she should do, doesn't make it a sign. So when you have a person who supposedly is a spiritualist, and they say, you know, because of this, that, and the other thing, this is happening, and so forth and so on, like an atheist who says, I haven't received enough, how is the statement? I haven't received evidence to prove the existence of God. I haven't received enough evidence to prove the existence of spirituality.
Yeah, that is one way I could put it.
Okay, that's how I would put it.
I don't.
You know, you can believe anything you want. You and I both know that.
Right.
You can believe that there's a spaceship in the tail of the Hale-Bopp comet, and that you need to join that spaceship, and the only way you're going to do that is to commit suicide. But it doesn't make it true.
Right.
All it does is it makes it your belief. Okay, I recognize the fact that that's their belief. So what?
It's still crazy.
So what?
Right. This concludes part 3 of the 4-part interview. Make sure you check out the other part, and as always, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below. Later, people.